like cheating's been normalized. Like cheating's been so normalized that like people don't even notice it, right? And so I thought I would play a video that was important to like um, that I think more people should see that a lot of people are probably not going to see. But I thought it would just be a good idea to just like play the video, just to demonstrate that I watched it. I think it's important. People aren't paying attention. I don't like a lot of people hold esports in high regard, but truth be told, I don't really hold esports in high regard because there's a lot of people out there that are just cheating and like people don't really notice it. Like there are good uses for third-party add-ons, especially if the developers themselves support third-party add-ons. People really like mods, right? Mods are usually things that that other people build. The developer may not have intended for it to be built that way, but and like gaming in general just exists in a space where like it's really up to people making the game or the publishers or the developers themselves to determine what's allowed and what's not allowed on the platform. That's what's really going on, right? But in that space that exists also exists people that will use that goodwill, right? That potential goodwill for other intentions, right? And I think like for as much as like people take esports seriously, I think people's ideas about like I think if people really knew what was going on behind some of the aspects of esports, that like I'm surprised that like esports isn't really something that's not like questioned enough, right? Some people probably do have legitimate skill out there and do belong like at the top of their ranks and whatnot. But I'm pretty confident that like for as long as online gaming has been around, like cheating has been around, and like people haven't been putting like the resources or like the thoughtfulness behind like the products that they put out there, or else cheating wouldn't be as widespread as it is right now. Okay? So and then like certain games will be taken more seriously. I recently decided to start playing Valorant. I actually haven't turned on Valorant. I just like downloaded it, like literally legit. I just downloaded it, but I thought it was important to start playing it just to see how the environment is different from like other environments, gaming environments that I've been a part of. For instance, I played all types of different shooters. I played Battlefront, I played Call of Duty, I played Overwatch, I played Fortnite, I played PUBG, I played what have I played? I played League of Legends. I played all those games, right? Some more than others, right? Some more than others. But and that's not like an exhaustive list of all the games that like I've played. I played a ton of online games, Apex Legends even, right? And for all the talk that people have about like those games and how good they are and how sweaty people get and stuff like that, I'm not, I'm wondering how much people actually like care whether or not like people are actually cheating, because how many people I'm wondering how many people that have like taken me down in an online game, or like what am I trying to say, or I've played against that they were cheating. So but enough of my little rant. Let's get into the video I want to watch. Let's see. So I'm the screen. All right, and yeah, let's start playing it. Second. This one. So this is a perfect example. Like, a lot of people will look at this clip, right? A lot of people will look at this clip and they'll be like, that person's not cheating. And it's like, like, but it's not that this person's not cheating because, you know, she even admitted that she's cheating. It's that, like, she just meant to normalize that this is the norm. Like it's been going on for so long that, like, shoot, was it muted? I'll start from the beginning if it was muted.
Take a look at this clip.
No, you don't.
Does it look suspicious? What if I told you this person was using cheats? Well, they are, as the person is me, using an aimbot I developed in a couple days and have been using for months without any fear of being banned.
Right, so this is so normalized that, like, nobody knows this person is cheating. And this has been happening for a very long time. This has been happening for a very long time. That's why, like, this video is so important to me, at least.
No one would have ever questioned a play like this in a game, and if someone was playing well and hitting all their shots, they would just be praised for being cracked and good at the game. In recent times, I felt more and more like I was running into suspicious players that were performing in a way that just didn't feel like the usual Smurfs, but anytime I called out the behavior to my fellow teammates, they brushed it off as a player who was just good. But as someone who used to play a lot of Counter-Strike, a game that is washed in cheating, there were times when I'd run into some players that just felt the same. I had done my fair share of dabbling in Counter-Strike hacks in the past, especially on the old HVH servers. And sometimes you just kind of know something isn't right. The inner engineer in me questioned what it would take.
By the way, this is the reason why, like, no matter what anybody says or how, like, angry or sweaty people get, like, online, I've never, like, taken online rank play of any kind, like, very seriously. Like, any, like name your game, right? Name any ranked game, any ranked game that's out there. Well, besides Valorant, actually, video will explain why. Besides Valorant, right? Because the specific cheating that they do in Valorant is okay. So Valorant has she'll explain it in well, she'll explain everything in the video. This video is actually really good. Yeah, but yeah.
To circumvent the Valorant anti-cheat. And if I could do it easily enough, how widespread could cheating be? During this journey, I began to find others who were also cheating at the game. Meeting these individuals helped me uncover massive private Discord servers and cheat forums with thousands of members. In this video, I will explain to you how thousands upon thousands of people circumvent Valorant's anti-cheat every day, and how they operate in their cheating communities. This video will serve as a basis and lay the foundations for all other videos I post on this channel. This video will be long, as we will be taking a deep dive into the world of cheating at tactical FPS games, especially how cheaters circumvent invasive anti-cheats like Vanguard and Faceit.
Yeah, and we're gonna be watching this entire video on this channel. And, but you should definitely, like, follow this creator. Comment and like what they have and hear what they have to say. At least that's my opinion. maybe I'll label this as a react video. Yeah, but it won't be a very common react video. I'm just gonna like, I'll think it over. Let me think it over.
Future update videos on the cat and mouse game between anti-cheat devs and cheat developers will reference this deep dive video. There will be video chapters below on each subject we will be tackling today, so stay tuned to the channel as we are just getting started. Back on subject, ever since the release of Valorant, the game's anti-cheat, Vanguard, has been touted as being one of the best multiplayer anti-cheat systems to date. Vanguard is one of the most rigorous and intrusive anti-cheat systems out there, and has been praised to be able to catch even the most sophisticated of cheats. But it is this intrusive nature that lets Vanguard work well. It is able to beat the game of the one who loads first and nip any cheat in the butt, or so we think. Because if there is one thing that is true about multiplayer games, if there is an anti-cheat, cheaters will find a way around that anti-cheat. The extreme nature of Vanguard has given the Valorant community a false sense of security. They believe Vanguard to be almost impenetrable. There is no way that cheaters can last long before Vanguard stops them, right? I installed this rootkit and Chinese spyware on my PC specifically to avoid the cheating issues I have experienced in other games. I left Counter-Strike for this. Unfortunately, the truth is cheating is fairly prevalent in Valorant, just as it has been in every competitive game. So let's begin by going back in time. Before there was Valorant, there was Counter-Strike. I was but a young girl. The Twin Towers were still standing, and my grandfather had given me a couple of non-running computers, but he told me I could have them if I could figure out how to make one work. I recall learning how to build my first PC with those parts so that I could play video games with my cousins. One afternoon, my aunt took us out to let us buy video games. We wanted something we could all play together, and it was there that I picked up my first copy of Counter-Strike, which I still have to this day. This was during the console era, internet access was limited, and video games were largely considered to be a social activity you did in person. For the best multiplayer experiences, we used to have LAN parties, or we would beg our parents for money to go to the gaming cafe. We would order snacks and balls, and everyone would then have some fun. But even back then, people would find ways to gain an unfair competitive advantage, usually through the means of exploiting glitches and bugs. You'd either laugh at it because it was dumb, or they could be rage-inducing, and you'd go over to them, punch them in the arm, and scream directly in their face, telling them to stop, because what they were doing was annoying, unfair, and they were stupid. Then you'd make your own server and convince your friends to join it instead. But as the LAN era gave...
Actually, give me 1 second. Something.
way to the online era, cheats or hacks as we called them, would become more prominent. Back then, anti-cheat systems were fairly rudimentary, and player bans were pretty short. For example, the earliest VAC implementation for CS only banned players for about 24 hours. Servers were community-owned and moderated back then. If someone was hacking, you'd just report them to the server admin and go play on another server till the hacker got banned.
So I actually miss these days of like community servers because and I wish they would come back because I would love to like own my own server and like moderate my own server because like as you would imagine like back in the day like there were certain groups of people that would manage the servers and you know a lot of the servers back then they weren't actually that bad. You know they would let in like nobody like I guess what I'm trying to say is you know it would be nice if someone like me can like run their own server. That makes sense. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
However, there were even servers where hackers could play against one another on servers.
Like even um even like now, like more control has been given to companies to run their servers, and I don't necessarily think that um like I don't necessarily think that's all good, you know, because um back then also like the community could also like build their own tools to like then attach as plugins to like the server that you were running, right? And now like you can't do any of that stuff, right? All that stuff is to other companies, and some companies fairly well, but then it becomes a problem where like if there's a particular problem that the company just doesn't care whether or not whether or not what's going on in the server is a problem or not, like they just let it, they just do whatever they want, you know? Like they don't care enough about the game to like do something about how what's going on in that online community, you know?
Servers designated as hack versus hack, or HVH. But things really
I don't think community run servers would be a complete solution to that issue. But at the same time, like it would probably be a good start. It wouldn't completely eliminate the issue. I'll admit that much. But like, yeah.
started to change when official matchmaking for competitive video games became the standard, and Counter-Strike was no exception to this rule. In 2012, CS:GO was released with official matchmaking servers. This gave players the ability to join a comp game at the press of a button. You no longer had to join a league or clan and spend weeks planning a match on forums and IRC for matchmaking. But with competitive modes and player ranks came a new wave of cheating, and eventually cheating in CS:GO would plague the game in almost every lobby. From the casual ones to the very top of the competitive ladder in esports. Cheating in CS:GO was so prominent because of the poor way in which its anti-cheat system, VAC, operated. It primarily focused on detecting cheats through its application signature and banning that particular user account if they used the cheat. But VAC couldn't actively detect if a cheat was being loaded into the process or accessing the game's memory. I remember cheating becoming so bad that I started using an alternative account to play CS. I altered and compiled my own external hack that ran on my Linux machine. And whenever someone began cheating on the opposing team, I would target them with my own cheat. This account lasted hundreds of hours before it was finally banned through the Overwatch manual review system. Valve official servers had become a joke, and all official servers seemed to be an HVH experience. Cheating was so popular that there were even HVH tournaments, and if you weren't using Skeet and didn't have a low UID, then you were nothing. But that's a story for another video.
Baby, with your milkshake, you get skeeted on. Thanking you the shit, girl, you get skeeted on. Walking on your feet, girl, you get skeeted on. You get skeeted on. You get skeeted on. My real bigger than yours, you get skeeted on. Money longer than yours, you get skeeted on. Brought your pistol, I got a chopper, get skeeted on.
Real progress against cheaters was being made by third-party matchmaking services, with names like Faceit and ESEA creating their own root-level anti-cheats and hosting their own matchmaking services for serious players and the professional scene. However, these third-party anti-cheats were mainly geared towards professional players and the esports scene. During the early years of CS:GO, cheating had become so common on official VAC servers that invasive kernel-level third-party anti-cheats had become a necessity to ensure competitive integrity in Counter-Strike esports.
I would imagine also that like this required lots of money in order to maintain, and like if you need lots of money to make sure that like something is to like verify the validity or something, it seems kind of weird. Like it's a standard. It should be a standard, right? Not a luxury. It should be a standard, right? So yeah, that's the part that.
Many non-professional players also chose to install these highly specialized and invasive anti-cheats to get away from the cheaters on official matchmaking servers. But these services did require separate subscriptions and client software for the players to take advantage of all they had to offer. In 2016, however, official matchmaking would improve to a degree with the implementation of verified prime matchmaking. But the question of whether or not the enemy was cheating was always on the mind when one queued on official servers. But hope was on the horizon for the casual player, as a new game was about to be born. Enter Project A.
Hey everyone, I'm Anna, and I'm the executive producer on one of those games you just saw, codenamed Project A. We've talked about our philosophy on developing new games here at Riot, but I figured we could also show you some. We're making new games, and this one's different, so now let's talk about the cheaters. We know you hate second-guessing if you really lost, or if someone was running an aimbot or a wall hack. From day one, we have put anti-cheat at the forefront of our development, and we will do whatever it takes to preserve the integrity of your matches. We want to be firm in our commitment here, because this matters to us, and we know it really matters to you.
Valorant was Riot's take on a Counter-Strike-like game, but with a modern twist on the genre. The game shared Counter-Strike's mechanics, but had waifus. Wait, where have I seen this before? Oh, right. Moving on. From the very beginning, from the very announcement of the game, Riot had one clear goal in mind: to create a highly competitive game that would not be plagued with the cheating problem Counter-Strike had. To accomplish this, they developed the anti-cheat Vanguard. Like Faceit and ESEA anti-cheats, Vanguard was built as a root-level anti-cheat in an attempt to snuff out even the most elaborate of cheats to ensure the integrity of competitive play at the highest level. To achieve this feat, kernel anti-cheats run at the root level, loading into the operating system kernel during boot up. We can understand this concept by simply looking at computer systems' hierarchical protection domains, commonly called protection rings, and where kernel ACs load within these rings. Computer operating systems offer varying degrees of system resource access through the implementation of protection rings, which constitute hierarchical levels of privilege within a computer system's architecture. This hierarchy is typically enforced at the hardware level, often by CPU architectures that incorporate distinct CPU modes in their hardware or microcode. Rings are arranged in a hierarchy from most privileged, typically numbered 0, to least privileged, typically designated with the highest ring number. In the majority of operating systems, ring 0 holds the highest level of privilege, allowing it to directly interface with physical hardware components. Vanguard has drivers that load during the system boot in ring 0 with the kernel. If that doesn't make sense, just understand this. By starting before any other process, Vanguard has the ability to catch cheats before they even load, and can keep tabs on all your system processes and how they access your application memory, which in turn allows the anti-cheat to make sure cheats aren't writing or accessing memory space when Valorant is running. Of course, this method of anti-cheat isn't without controversy, as it is basically a rootkit, and if used incorrectly, can monitor everything you do on your computer. At least Vanguard isn't mining for shitcoins on your PC. I mean, no.
I'm surprised. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, because I think Vanguard might be using the tools that Windows 11 provides to ensure that like it's not detected as like that's like a rootkit. But I'm surprised like this is the level of this is the level that people have to go through in order to like the investment and the time and the effort just to cheat is staggering. It's crazy.
No one has taken advantage of root-level privilege before, right? Especially not a well-known third-party Counter-Strike kernel-level anti-cheat used in the pro leagues. No! Vanguard promised to be different.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
So how do cheaters get around kernel anti-cheats that seemingly know everything? There are many ways people cheat the system to gain a competitive advantage, from actions as innocent as bind jump throws all the way to DMA hardware. So let's start with the most innocent of ways. A bind to get consistent lineups is hardly considered a cheat. Timing your lineup takes skill, but by simply binding your jump and throw keys close together, you can very easily get a consistent jump throw. This might seem innocent, but such binds have been banned in competitive play before in Counter-Strike. But the use of external software can also be used to rebind keys so that you only have to press one key for a jump throw. But these kinds of key remapping can also be used for other actions, like bunny hopping. Most mouse software today ships with functionality that allows for user-defined mouse macros. For example, bind.
I like the way that like she describes like basically how to become like a better like you have to buy software and hardware in order to like be a better game like player in Valorant. Like there are people out there that actually do this. Like this is like it's like, you know, she describes something as like, oh, this isn't necessarily a cheat, but like you can buy like you can get like mouse software that like basically gives you a bind and allows you to do stuff that like nobody else can do without the software can do. I like the fact that she's basically like telling you like the resources that you need to like become a better Valorant player. Like this is so good.
Binding your mouse wheel to jump constantly, creating perfect bunny hop macro without the need to learn the timing.
Like why, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's just a game. Like why does cheating have to be so fucking convoluted? Like this is why, again, this is why like I do not take like ranked based play of any kind. Like freaking, like I would like to take it seriously, like as far as, you know, testing like how good I might be at a certain game, but all this crying over I'm not diamond or I'm not, you know, master or I'm not. It's like, man, I got cheating. Like, so how many of you are cheating? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yourself. Mouse macros have not been blocked by Riot, nor have they taken any action to ban users to use macros for actions like this. But things can get a little more questionable when you have mouse software that can run scripts that perform mouse movement functions. Basic anti-recoil scripts can be easily programmed for Razer mice. A script can be toggled to pull down the mouse for you, effectively eliminating recoil. These kinds of scripts aren't going to get you far in the ranks, as eventually most players learn how to control recoil on their own. But it is a way some people exploit the system by letting software do the work for them. It should be noted that Riot patched the Logitech Lua scripts, but for some reason the Razer XML scripts still work. But for anyone serious about cheating, there's nothing better than an aimbot, triggerbot, or one of the most powerful cheats of all, the Extra Sensory Perception cheat, aka ESP. There is one thing all of these cheats traditionally need: access to the game's memory space. The video game's client-side application will store critical game information in the temporary memory, such as player information, their health, and their location. The game obtains enemy player information from the server encrypted in packets. And those packets are then loaded into the memory to be processed by the game itself through system API calls. To resolve enemy location, a cheat will need to access and read the game's memory, thus obtaining the enemy location in 3D space which can then be processed by the cheat program for ESP, aimbot, or triggerbot. There are two ways cheats can access this memory, externally or internally. On an external cheat, the cheat program runs as a separate process, makes the same system API calls to read into the game's memory space, and resolves enemy player locations. On the other hand, internal cheats are injected into the game client. They are able to read and write to the application memory through the actual game instance by hooking function calls, and can resolve a lot more information with less latency and more accurately, allowing for more responsive and sophisticated cheats. However, a good anti-cheat can usually detect these kinds of anomalies, and cheaters who use external cheats that read from the game's memory using standard system calls, or inject internal cheats into the game will get caught fairly quickly. So how would a cheat hook into system calls if root-level anti-cheats can detect them? Cheaters can use drivers that load before the kernel loads, abusing the extensible firmware interface mappings, or EFI. At the heart of this cheating method lies the enigmatic EFI mapper. This tool effectively maps custom-made Windows drivers, rendering them invisible to the anti-cheat and even Windows itself, as the drivers masquerade as Windows drivers. By initiating the EFI mapper before Windows boot.
By the way, this is insanely scary, right? If you're a system administrator, and you're in charge of like an entire like organization, right? You're in charge of like maintaining an entire organization for a company. Like this level of like fuckery, for lack of a better word, is very scary because it just seems like to me like this is a means to break into somebody's computer. Not even like from a gaming aspect, like more like and this is why like I think like Windows 11 is so important, because this is these tools. Some of these tools are the same tools that people use to like break into other people's computers, right? And break into other people's computers and take control of their machines, right? You know, it's just very scary stuff. Like that people will go through in order not only to cheat, but to gain access to like people's computers. And the fact that like a tool, an anti-cheat needs to go out of their way, like more people should be like how many cyber attacks have happened like since the beginning of this year, since last year, since like how like for the past 10 years, like how many cyber attacks have there been on like businesses and institutions like all across the United States, right? I just don't think that like people are and the level of sophistication behind these attacks, they're only gonna get worse. So I just don't think that like I don't know, people. I feel like people there aren't enough people out there that are like taking this seriously, or the matter of like security when it comes to like computing in general, like seriously enough. Not only when it comes to like cheating, but when it comes to like just general, like just like keeping your data secure, like in general, you know?
Cheat drivers can successfully hide themselves as a Windows driver. This clandestine operation allows cheaters to read memory within the game and run cheats that can hook into seemingly innocent system calls that are secretly accessing game memory. These cheats take longer to detect, as a root-level anti-cheat must find patterns among reported cheaters who all use the same cheat and then detect the signature of the application performing the cheat. To try and fight this problem, anti-cheats like Vanguard force all Windows 11 computers to use Secure Boot and TPM 2.0, as this will enforce clean EFI booting, preventing malicious drivers from loading prior to the kernel. However, people who cheat regularly will simply install Windows 10 and disable Secure Boot, as Vanguard cannot force Secure Boot for Windows 10.
And this is why I don't use Windows 10. This is why I was very excited to upgrade into like Windows 11. This is why, like, the idea of like booting up into an operating system that's just like a clean version that verifies that it's in fact the clean version of the operating system is what appealed to me the most about Windows 11. People don't usually upgrade to like the latest operating system when they come, but particularly in Windows, people don't usually upgrade to the latest operating system because when it comes to Microsoft Windows, it's because Microsoft Windows on release, it usually comes with like a variety of like bugs or kinks or like things that like. First of all, another thing is that you know. There's usually a UI change of some sort, and it usually gets in the way of like the flow of like everyday work. People just want to be able to get their jobs done. The idea of like upgrading to another operating system where all the UI, some aspects of the UI, subtle changes in the UI, like affects efficiency of the work, and they have to relearn how the operating system works in order to get what they need done. Is like a huge like people don't like that. People don't want to like relearn what they need, what they knew from the operating system that they're comfortable with, just because they're just used to. They just want to get stuff shit done, right? They want to get stuff done. You know, everything has deadlines wherever they're working, and they just want to get things done. And we have to like then go out and put extra effort into the work that they're already familiar with doing from their day to day. They want to change is discouraging, right? I've never seen well, there have been times where like Windows will release a feature that'll make that person's job easier, but like that's usually few and far between. But the part that like appeals to me is that like this idea of like Windows, you know, there have been cyber security and the means to break into a person's machine have become more and more complicated. And so the fact that Windows 11 is adding features to increase the integrity of the operating system is a very promising thing to me, and something that is just simply not ignored. You know, I would love it if we can live in a world where you don't have to we didn't things didn't used to be like this, right? Like how over the past it's a moonshot 20 years, right? How much of personal user data has been stolen, right, in order to commit identity fraud and stuff like that. This wasn't a problem in the 90s. This is only this recent problem of cybersecurity and having people's data stolen and having to basically their lives taken away, and having their be impersonated by someone who lives millions of miles away from each other. This is a recent problem with the advent of new technology, right? And the fact that we don't collectively think there's probably I can imagine there are so many people out there that know somebody or they themselves are a person who's had their identity stolen. Just that fact alone should make people care more about how software is being made and the integrity of the software, and how much of the integrity and defense of the software is being considered when people are writing software. And the only reason why this hasn't been in consideration is purely out of profit. It's purely profit, for the profit of the people who make the software. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about the developers. I'm talking about the people who are above the developers, because I'm pretty sure plenty of developers think that this is probably a problem, right?
More recently, cheaters have started using cracked and custom recompiled versions of Windows. This allows cheaters to even use Windows 11 with their custom EFI drivers, as the cheaters are using their own repacked versions of Windows that they have full control over. Because detection of some of these cheats can take some time, cheaters will use a specific cheat release with an alt account till the cheat gets detected, and their account and HHIDs are finally banned, which can be weeks at a time. At this point, you'd think it's game over for the cheater, right? After all, Vanguard bans cheaters based on their physical hardware components identified by their computer's hardware IDs, right? Well, as it turns out, it's very easy to spoof the hardware IDs. Cheaters will simply spoof their HHIDs once the cheat they are using has been detected, and cheat developers will develop and build a new cheat that will need to be detected all over again. Cheaters will then continue to cheat on a new account. Riot has been attempting to curb HHID spoofing by requiring TPM 2.0, which uses a TPM module which forces hardware uniqueness, but cheaters have simply discovered they can boot from a USB drive.
I'm gonna let her finish her sentence, but TPM is probably one of the things that I'm excited about. It's TPM that I'm most excited about when it comes to Windows 11, which, by the way, Windows 11 is actually it's very late. Windows in general is actually very late on the implementation of TPM. You should have had TPM a long time ago, and only Microsoft is only rolling out TPM, because the fact of the matter is that TPM hasn't been around forever, and just implementation of TPM into people's hardware hasn't really come along until recently, which is a shame, which is a real shame, you know?
Spoof their hardware before their OS boots, and then continue to boot from their Windows partition. Third-party Counter-Strike kernel-level anti-cheats, like FACEIT, have curbed this issue by banning more component-based hardware IDs, making it more difficult and potentially more expensive for cheaters to create new computer identities through spoofing or replacing hardware components. FACEIT also has stricter regulation on sign-ups of new accounts, requiring phone verification and payment verification. Due to these stricter requirements, it's less common to see cheaters use EFI-based cheats on FACEIT servers. But EFI-based cheating is one of the more common ways to cheat at Valorant, as Riot's HHID bans are limited to larger components of the PC that are easy to spoof, and Riot does not require phone verification to play on ranked servers. Most cheaters are usually obtaining their cheats through a cheat reseller who distributes these cheats from a cheat developer, and they pay monthly subscriptions to keep the cheat development going. Once a cheat like this is detected, an entire wave of cheaters who are using the same cheat can be banned. Many cheat developers will also exit scam their buyers once the cheat is detected. They will then create a new loader or cheat program and resell the cheat again under a new name. One thing I noticed while browsing through these cheating communities was how closely they were linked to booster services and account resellers. It seems a portion of their paying user base for these kinds of cheats consist of account resellers who use cheats to place accounts in particular ranks. Many of these accounts are then bought by boosters who use the purchased accounts with cheats to then duo with a customer's account to boost it into a higher rank. However, the boosting industry and how it affects ranked play is an entirely different can of worms and out of the scope of this video. If there is interest, I can make a video just on this subject.
I'm interested.
Now, what if someone wanted to cheat on their main? For players who want to cheat competitively on FACEIT, ESEA, or on Valorant to impress others, or even cheat in professional tournaments, How would they do so if their account would simply get banned if the cheat got detected? Well, frankly put, you would need a cheat that is able to access and process application memory deeper than the anti-cheat. But when an anti-cheat is loading at the kernel level, it's harder to go lower than that, right? Well, you'd be wrong, because there is a layer deeper than the deepest software layer, even deeper than the negative ring layers, and that layer is the physical hardware itself.
TPM is technically the physical hardware itself. I digress. Like, you're already there if you're talking about TPM.
If an anti-cheat needs to run on your PC to detect a cheat, what if you ran your cheat on another computer? That's exactly what cheaters started doing to get around third-party root-level anti-cheats in Counter-Strike.
Okay, and this is the reason why. I like what Valorant is. I like Valorant's anti-cheat the most, because the fact that they have to go out of their way to put in the effort, like to pay money to buy like separate hardware to then, not software, like software, the avenue through software has already been exhausted. The fact that they have to go through avenue of purchasing hardware to actually cheat is, you know, is what makes it so appealing, right? No longer do I need to, now you need to buy a computer. Like, okay, so the other computer the other computer that you need to buy probably isn't more expensive than the one that you're using right now. That much is true, right? Like if you're using a gaming PC, you probably maybe have paid over $1,000 in order to game on your gaming PC, right? But the fact that like you have to then, the fact that like the amount of the payment, the currency that is it's no longer like you know, I no longer have to do research to find us the right software to like cheat. Now you have to go out of your way, go to a store, buy actual hardware, and whether or not it's cheap is another concern entirely. Don't get me wrong. I would also like it might be fairly easy if you know what you're doing, right? If you don't know what you're doing, then you have to put in the extra work in order to do the research to then find out that you need to use that you need to go to the store to buy separate hardware. But the fact that you have to do all of that is what appeals to me in Valorant's anti-cheat. That's what's appealing to me, right? Now, if what would be even more appealing if like you couldn't even get away with that, but you know, at least they're my thing is they're putting in the work and it shows, and I'm gonna get into Valorant just because of that. Like that's the reason, you know. Sorry.
To accomplish this, cheaters install a direct memory access controller directly into their PCI slot on their computer.
If someone's doing it better than what Valorant's doing, I would love to hear it.
The DMA controller can directly access the memory bus and pull the data directly from your computer's RAM, effectively bypassing the CPU and bypassing the operating system completely. There is no way for the anti-cheat to detect that the memory was accessed and pulled from, as long as the operation only reads from the target computer's memory. Once the memory is pulled by the DMA device, a copy of the memory can be sent to a second computer to process that memory. A program on the second computer can scan that memory copy for the allocated region the game process writes to, and a cheat program will then be able to resolve information such as player location, health, or other game assets. A visual representation of this data can be shown on a second monitor for the cheater to visualize. This gives cheaters a safe way to have radar ESP without fear of the anti-cheat catching them. But DMA cheats aren't limited to just radar ESP. A DMA cheat can also provide wall hacks. To accomplish this, a video overlay box is needed. One feed is sent from the clean PC showing the game's output, and the second feed from the cheat PC, which shows the locations of enemy players in 3D space. The two feeds are then combined and shown on one monitor. There is no way for the clean PC to know the video output is being merged with enemy player locations that were resolved by the dirty PC. Last but not least, DMA cheats can also provide aimbot hacks through the use of a microcontroller. A microcontroller spoofed with mouse hardware IDs is plugged into the clean PC so that it only sees a mouse plugged into the COM port. The real mouse is also plugged into the microcontroller to give real user input. Finally, the dirty PC is plugged into the microcontroller, providing resolved enemy player locations. When the cheater clicks the mouse near an enemy, the microcontroller can correct the mouse movement to hit the enemy using the enemy player location data that is fed to the controller from the cheat PC. To try and combat DMA cheating.
By the way, so, this can also include things like all you really need is like the general, like the PC needs is like the location of where to shoot. So you could possibly make it so that the microcontroller knows the closest pixel to aim at in order to get like a headshot on a person from a very, like, whatever the distance may be, right? It's not a matter of like, oh, wouldn't be possible. No, at that point, once you have like any type of computing device that can basically access the memory locations of like where a person is and at what point of the person's body that you're aiming at, then it's just a matter of like trying to find or trying to write the right code to then have the body shot or make a headshot, so. Would I do that? No, because that's an absurd, to me, all this is an absurd amount of labor just to win at a goddamn video game. But that's just my take, and some people don't see it like that because, again, if you really think about it, esports is probably like possibly like there's a lot of money in esports, right? The tournaments, they could possibly bank like $1 million or $500,000 easy, maybe nowadays, in order to play in a tournament, right? And so, so I might not see it as something that I would get into, but it doesn't mean that there wouldn't be somebody out there that could see this as that could see this as a means to make it like a profitable venture of any sort, Because again, there's money involved.
Root-level anti-cheats try to detect the existence of a DMA device installed on the computer. Since the anti-cheat cannot detect the DMA memory reads, the anti-cheat will instead scan for DMA hardware. Purpose-built DMA devices may be detected and blocked if using default firmware. To avoid detection, cheaters will flash custom firmware to their DMA devices to spoof the device as another component, like a network controller. Riot Games Vanguard has been especially aggressive at combating DMA cheating, and there has been a lot of drama between anti-cheat devs and cheat devs around the effectiveness of Vanguard against DMA methods, force-loading IOMMU, the busmaster bit flip, and so on. But such a topic is out of scope for this video. As of today, as long as a DMA device is properly spoofed with correctly flashed firmware, it will be able to bypass Vanguard. DMA cheating has one major drawback: price. DMA hardware is very expensive, as you need a second PC. The DMA controller by itself typically costs $400 USD. Additional hardware to enable wall hacks and aimbot can set you back another $500 USD. To top it off, monthly subscriptions from a DMA cheat provider can also be expensive, due to the high cost of entry.
Who cares if the money pool in like a tournament is like $250,000? It pays for itself, right? Like it pays for itself, right?
Entry, running into a cheater using DMA cheats is fairly uncommon, and it can be argued that smurfing is much more disruptive to competitive play in comparison. This is especially true in Valorant, where the developers chose to ignore the smurfing issue altogether. To reduce costs, some DMA cheats loop the resolved game data.
Okay, personal opinion. Smurfing is a problem. It's a real problem, right? I mean, who likes a dickhead who's going after like people who are like who don't know anything about the game and it's just like killing newbies? Like who likes that type of person? Piece of shit. But like smurfing isn't cheating. Smurfing isn't like cheating is so much of a bigger problem, and I would love actually smurfing might actually be an easier problem to solve if thought about correctly. So to a certain extent, it can be solved. It can be solved. It would require a lot of work, but it could be solved. There's something out there that, it would require a lot of work, but it could be solved. But like cheating is a much graver problem than so cheating is about falsifying the merit that's required for you to reach a certain rank. Smurfing is about prohibiting self-development in a game that you care about, right? Equally are important, but like cheating is much of a great problem because like you don't even deserve the place that you're at. Smurfing is a problem because you care more about winning than just letting people actually like play the damn game at the very least, right? So yeah.
Back to the game PC, and a separate process on that PC uses that data to perform the cheats. The downside to this method is that there is still the possibility for the application running on the game PC to be detected by the anti-cheat, rendering this method more risky. But what if a cheater wanted a method that was safe but also inexpensive? Without a DMA device, there would be no safe way to read from the game's memory space. Instead, one would need a cheat that could operate without needing access to the game's memory. And cheaters found a way to do just that through a method called visual cheats. Visual cheats use the screen output as the basis for the cheats. Aimbots and trigger bots can be easily created through visualization of what is being displayed on the cheater's screen. They cannot be used for other cheats like wall hacks, as they cannot resolve game data from the memory. One of the simplest visual cheat is developed through the use of auto hotkey scripting, or AHK. AHK is a scripting platform used for automation of applications and mouse movements. When Valorant was first released, cheaters discovered they could write simple AHK scripts to move the mouse to where the enemy was showing up on screen by tracking the enemy outline colors. However, Riot eventually patched such AHK mouse movements, and players caught using such functions were banned. While AHK aimbots were easily patched, simple AHK trigger bots continue to be a method cheaters use to this day. cheaters simply rebind their shoot key to a keyboard button and have the AHK script press that key when the mouse cursor moves over the colored outline of an enemy. This gets around the detected and blocked mouse movement functions, and for some reason, Riot has not found a way to block this method of cheating. Because AutoHotkey has many legitimate uses, Riot does not ban users who have it installed. It's widely believed by the cheating community that running AHK while Valorant is running can trigger red flags by Vanguard. This can lead to manual account reviews, which can result in manual bans if the trigger bot was too blatant. But many cheaters still swear by AHK scripts to this day, and it is without a doubt one of the more popular methods of cheating at Valorant. AHK scripts can be very easily distributed and are easy to use. Their widespread proliferation means anyone can find and use one, often without having to pay a dime.
Someone might be flanking though. Okay.
The concept of developing a cheat that uses the colored outline as a means of identifying an enemy player has lived on with pixel bots. To avoid using the AutoHotkey software, pixel bot cheats are instead developed as standalone programs. These cheats capture the screen input, identify the colored outline of the enemy in the captured frames, and automatically correct the mouse to the enemy player. However, simple pixel bot cheats can still be detected if the cheat calls mouse movement functions.
On my way.
There is one simple and cheap solution.
Oh my god. The most messed up thing about that clip is that people actually that was a legit person shooting the gun, where it's obviously a machine. It's obviously a machine that did that. It's so obviously a machine. Holy fucking shit. And what if devil's advocate, what if it was a person? Wasn't it one person? Isn't that more of a reason to want to care whether or not that what that person did on the screen actually holds merit? Don't you want that? The fact that there is doubt introduced to that with the knowledge that I currently have, wouldn't it be so much cooler to know that that person actually did that? That through sheer amount of effort and practice, and not because they're cheating. Why wouldn't you want that? That's fucking stupid to me. But too much to ask, I guess.
To this, and that is to process pixel data and move the mouse using a spoofed microcontroller. When I was first attempting to find a solution to bypass Vanguard, my first development method involved capturing a small section of my screen around the crosshair and streaming that data to a Raspberry Pi, which is a cheap, single-board computer. On the Pi, I would process the small captured pixel data, find the colored enemy outlines, and send the pixel locations to a spoofed microcontroller. This microcontroller was also plugged into my main PC and would correct my mouse movements. That was all the hardware I needed for a safe, undetectable aimbot, a $40...
When I'm watching this, I just realize patience sometimes things that people enable second. It's ridiculous.
Pi and a $40 microcontroller. In order to find other cheaters, I began playing in and subsequently dominating in deathmatch servers, adding anyone in those servers who I suspected of cheating. After queuing and playing a couple games with these suspected cheaters, I narrowed out the ones I was certain were actually...
And you know, some person might make the argument, oh, you know, it's just a game. Okay, fine. No, actually, I agree with that. They'll make $1 billion industry out of it. Is esports, you know, $1 billion industry? No, it isn't. I've watched a YouTuber say that every year esports is actually losing money. Right? They're losing money. All right, fine, but wasn't the intent to make it one day $1 billion industry? Wasn't that the intent? Right? Wasn't that like? Isn't that what? Don't you want it? Don't you want it to like rival like football or something like that? So, you know, on one hand you're saying, oh, it's just a game, you know, the cheating's not important. But on the other hand, you're saying, but I want to build like, I want to make like mucho money out of it. Okay, fucking pick one, right?
Cheating and revealed to them that I was using a cheat. Cheating communities have a sense of camaraderie, and when they find out another person is also a cheater, they are typically very willing to open up about being a cheater as well. After I joined their cheating Discord servers, I found that many cheaters were using either R0g3 trigger bots or they were using single-board Arduino microcontrollers. The Arduino cheats especially interested me, as they were much like the aimbot I created, but simplified. The Arduino aimbots were by far the most popular. These functioned by having a screen capture program send captured screen data over a USB COM port to an Arduino. While not as safe as the cheat I developed, these cheats were much more responsive as they sent and retrieved data over a singular USB COM port, and cheaters have been using them for years without any fear of being banned. These controllers are also cheap, with brand name Arduinos selling for just over $20. However, off-brand boards from China can be purchased for a fraction of the price.
That's a funny joke to me. Very funny joke. This image right now. It's hilarious. This is seeing all right. This is funny.
For just over $20. However, off-brand boards from China can be purchased for a fraction of the price and can even be found with waifus printed on the boards. The main safety concern many of these cheaters had was that Vanguard could possibly detect 2 mice plugged in and determine one mouse was correcting aim. To solve this problem, many cheaters solder USB host shields to their Arduino microcontrollers so that their PC only reads one mouse input. There is some concern that anti-cheats could detect screen data being transmitted over a COM port. Streaming over socket is considered to be much more safe, as socket is the same way commercial streaming software exports captured screen data. In recent times, network microcontrollers like the Pi Pico have emerged with built-in Wi-Fi chips. These controllers have become increasingly popular as they allow...
The next time you get sweaty, you get angry, you put all your value as a human being into a game, and then you lose that game. Just watch this video and like, I don't know, masturbate or something, because like it doesn't mean anything in the end. I don't like do something, you know, just like chill, because it's not that serious. It's never been that serious, especially if, you know, people are allowing this to continue without, you know, any effort to like try to curb it. Just watch this and you'll be fine, and it's be like, you'll be fine, you know. It's like, I don't care, you know.
Allow cheaters to stream their screen data to the microcontroller, which will then correct the mouse movement. These cheat methods are not limited to just Valorant. Many cheat providers now provide what they call AI identification cheats. These cheats detect enemy players through the use of shape identification. Microcontrollers have long been used by players to cheat at Counter-Strike on Faceit servers, with early rudimentary cheats designed to be toggled manually by the cheater while holding an angle, as a trigger bot activates when any movement comes across the screen. But with recent developments of AI shape detection cheats, microcontroller-based aimbots are becoming much more common and have replaced these old basic trigger bots on Faceit servers.
You know what Google should do? They should make a CAPTCHA, but for like video game, for like cheating in video games. That would be an awesome project that Google could work if they really cared about it. That would actually go along. Like, that's something, like cheating would be the perfect Google project if Google, like, they have the engineers. It would be the perfect Google project that Google could work on. Unfortunately, Google has turned into that type of company. That's just like any other company that cares more about profit than actually making like decent technology, like technology that's for the better of people. But like old Google, or Google that aspired to like just like make good tech, like Google that is today is not the same Google as but like, or maybe it was. I wasn't there when it first got off the ground. But you know, for all the geniuses that Google sends to toad off that it has, like trying to curb cheating in video games would be the perfect Google project. You know, things have really changed. CAPTCHA technology is no longer, you know, CAPTCHA being technology that detects whether or not somebody online is a bot before you enter the website, has moved on. Like other companies have implemented it, and now you can get that technology from other companies. But like, if you wanted like to evolve as a company and still show that you're able to produce things for the betterment of everyone, like trying to curb cheating in video games would be a perfect project. It'd be basically like Evolution. You know, but that's just me.
Despite all of these workarounds for root-level anti-cheats, players rarely complain about cheating on servers that utilize such anti-cheats. This may in part be due to the fact that players do not encounter blatant wall hackers, spin botters, or recoilless aimbots that snap to their heads through memory writes. This gives players the perception that they are not playing against cheaters when many times they are.
You know, it's funny, all these clips that she's showing me, like, it's pretty clear that like none of these players are suffering a recoil for any of the weapons that they shoot, and that's how you can tell they cheat. There's no fucking reaction to the recoil. Like, even if you're used to recoil, you would have a minimal reaction to the recoil. But no, they're just shooting it like it's an old school 90s, like 90s shooter. Like 90s shooter, like boomer shooters don't have any you ever notice that boomer shooters don't have recoil in their shots, but like modern recoil is a modern development in shooters. I don't even think, does Half-Life have recoil in their guns? I have to go back and play Half-Life. I don't think Half-Life has recoil. I think Counter-Strike has recoil, but I don't think Half-Life has recoil. I remember. But yeah, like, play Doom or Hexen, like the original Doom or Hexen. There's no recoil. Why would there be recoil, right? Play Thief, play maybe Deus Ex. I have to play the original Deus Ex, not like Deus Ex Man Divided or the other game that's modern. Like, those probably, like, the modern games probably have recoil, but the first Deus Ex doesn't have recoil. System Shock probably doesn't have recoil either. I bet if I played it today. So yeah.
And instead, they write the cheater off as a smurf.
Yes, it's the funniest shit I've heard.
But if an anti-cheat is effective enough to bring most cheaters down to the same level as a smurf, perhaps such an anti-cheat is good enough for casual.
And that's the problem. Like, it's so normalized that like people don't even give a shit anymore. Like they write it, like it's like you said, they write it up as a smurf. No, they're fucking cheating. It's so normalized.
Ranked play. While such anti-cheats still have their flaws and could definitely be improved through better pixel bot detection or spoofed controller detection, at least the game experience isn't riddled with blatant rage hackers we experience on official servers of other games. Perhaps one day, our beloved game will be fixed. And remember, only poors cheat on alts. If you're going to cheat, you better do it on your main with thousands of dollars worth of skins. I love you all. Rem out. VAC, the anti-cheat that ships with all of Valve's major multiplayer titles, has a pretty terrible reputation within the gaming community. It's well known that as a user mode anti-cheat, with no access to elevated system resources, VAC is unable to effectively deal with cheaters. But with the release of Counter-Strike 2, a new iteration of Valve's anti-cheat was born. Enter VAC Live. During the CS2 beta, players were both amazed and disappointed at the new anti-cheat's ability to catch cheaters.
I'm enjoying this all too much. I'm enjoying this all too much.
While some praised its ability to ban cheaters mid-match, others noted it did not seem to do much, and that almost all the top players in Premier mode seemed to be using cheats, as most of them had almost impossible win rate percentages. Players were hoping that the new AI-assisted anti-cheat was learning patterns during the beta and hoping for a massive ban wave on the official launch of the game. However, on release, there still seemed to be many cheaters in the game, but hope was seemingly not lost, as a few days after release, a ban wave was initiated and many accounts were lost to the wrath of Gaben. There were reports of individuals who owned hundreds of accounts suddenly getting banned, and others lost accounts with large and expensive inventory.
How long have I been muted?
Some people in the community started making
I'm pretty
claims
sure I
that
wasn't
these
muted.
accounts must have been using inventory changers, not understanding that inventory changers are only rendered client-side for the user and do not show up on Steam profiles.
Okay.
On the surface, this ban wave seemed to be a major victory for the release of Counter-Strike 2, as it seemed that VAC Live was working as intended. But as someone who has dabbled in cheats and cheat development in the past, there's one thing that I know about these communities. They don't stop cheating. I looked into who was affected by this ban wave, and what I found was not surprising at all. In fact, it was completely expected. The recent ban wave was directed at one cheat in particular, aimware.
My name is Tyler and I love aimware.
Aimware has a long-standing presence in the Counter-Strike scene.
Wow.
It is well known by those who cheat as the cheat for normies, and even those who don't cheat know its name. Aimware is the most popular and easily accessible cheat for Counter-Strike.
I love not playing Counter-Strike. I'll not play Counter-Strike every day. Like it's like I breathe water.
And as a
Sorry, breathe air. What am I saying?
public cheat, it has been detected many times over the years, resulting in ban waves with each detection, but it always comes out with a new release, and cheaters will make new accounts and continue to use it. Most cheaters understand that by using aimware, they will likely lose their account at some point, but cheat releases can go some time before being detected again, resulting in time windows where cheaters feel secure or safe using a particular cheat. Prior to the release of CS2, there were many other cheats out there for CSGO, some of the safest being private or semi-private cheats that only read from the game's memory using kernel-level drivers that allow the cheat to safely hook into system API calls, effectively bypassing VAC. These have been considered fairly safe to use with CSGO and have gone without frequent detection, as VAC is still a user mode anti-cheat and does not have root-level access like.
I think this video by itself is going to ensure that I never install another Counter-Strike of any form on my ever again.
Faceit and ESEA anti-cheats that can detect cheats with drivers masquerading as Windows services. But even popular public cheats like Inuria have managed to mostly avoid detection by users who use it safely and don't activate functions that could cause red trust. Many cheaters who used what they considered to be safe cheats had become insensitive to the possibility of a ban and had fallen into a false sense of security, thinking that VAC was such a dog-shit anti-cheat that they could cheat on their mains with good public cheats or private ones. Some cheaters would even cheat with large inventories using kernel-level EFI cheats or hardware DMA cheats. But such cheats are a topic for another video. If you want to see a video on that, you all know how to stay tuned to this channel. Back on topic, at the release of Counter-Strike 2, most of these popular undetected cheats, private or public, did not have releases for CS2, as most had been catering to CSGO, and even during the CS2 beta, there was a lack of cheats for CS2, except for one, Aimware. Very early on, Aimware rewrote their cheating software to work with CS2. They knew that by being the first, they would have an edge over the competition by having a release at the launch of the game. Cheaters become addicted to cheats. Once they cheat, it's very hard for them to go back. One former cheater turned anti-cheat dev put this very well.
Once you've cheated, it's difficult to not cheat. Like
It's
that
an
becomes
addiction,
the way
man.
you engage in the game.
I love the video of him just like glitching, just glitching. This is like getting in place while he's walking. It's so dumb. So funny to look at.
Once you're banned, you're also kind of like severed from like the community you were in, right? And so like the next time you engage, why not just cheat? It's one of the reasons like bans got to be like prioritized, because you know it's hard. It's really hard to reform a cheater. I mean, we know the explicit rate on that based on genre, and I can't share it. But it's really hard. When so like I used to cheat, and I can't play first-person shooters without cheating. I can't because I can't aim. I never learned to do it.
Needless to say, many people who wanted to continue cheating when CS2 was released took a risk by using Aimware. Many bet on VAC taking a while to detect Aimware again and figured a week or so wouldn't harm anything. After all, even Aimware releases only get detected once in a while. Aimware allowed them to cheat while they waited for a release from their preferred cheat that worked with CS2, or while they continued to wait for that skeet invite they were promised after paying some onin $400 all those years back. However,
I have a question. I know, but like, if you're cheating in a first-person shooter game, aren't you just like clicking on a screen? Isn't that all you're doing? Aren't you just like, doesn't the game turn into like, oh, you're not aiming like correctly at the screen to like you just, it's like you all you need to do is just click on the screen, and you just need to do it like at the right opportune time. Like, doesn't it just change the dynamics of how the entire game works? Or is the real payoff behind cheating like the fact that it's another, that you just put down another human being without any effort? Is that the real payoff? You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's the case, well then, at the same time, you're just clicking on a screen, and you're just clicking on the screen with the right timing. Like, that's all you reduce the game to, isn't it? Like, something to think about.
Valve wanted to show they were being tough on cheaters and show that VAC Live was actually worth its salt. What better way to show it off than with a massive ban wave? Aimware was low-hanging fruit, as it's a public cheat that has a low barrier to entry, It was an easy one for Valve to hit with detection and ban all the accounts associated with its use. Needless to say, this resulted in a pretty widespread ban wave, and it was a great PR stunt by Valve. Players were now praising how VAC managed to purge so many cheaters from the game, and how cheaters lost inventories worth thousands of dollars, or how some cheaters lost hundreds of accounts.
Well, okay, so listen, I get what she's saying. Like, it was probably a PR stunt by Valve to like make them look good. I get that. Like, I completely get that. Right? It's deceptive, you know, whatever. But like, you also have to understand that like the euphoria people must have felt when all the people that were like, you can see how toxic people get online. Like, you know, somebody was probably being toxic to you and they beat you at something and they were probably cheating. Like, the euphoria they must have felt to have these like these pieces of shit that's like banned like outright for like doing what they did. Like, that's probably what they were like celebrating about, that like so many of the people that swear that they were playing fair like behind their monitor while in fact they weren't are finally getting banned, right? And like, and it's true. Like, if you think about it, they lost so much money. They lost so much money over something, you know, over this. So it's a good thing. You know, there is a silver lining on that. But I get what she's saying too. I mean, what she's saying has some validity, a ton of validity behind it.
But losing accounts tied to the same phone number isn't anything new. Anyone who did that was dumb to begin with. It's well known that if multiple accounts are tied to the same phone number, if one gets banned, they all get banned. And for the people cheating on their main with aimware, that's a massive risk and just plain stupid, like you couldn't spend a few days using an alt account. My time researching the active cheater player base seems to indicate that most identify as suffering from physical mental retardation, and their only hope to play the game with normal people is through cheating. But fact of the matter is, all those who've gotten banned in this recent wave will just come back, especially once their cheat of choice updates for CS2.
I'm sorry. I know. I know it's wrong for her to say that, but at the same time, like, it's just sarcasm and you know what she means. Like, they're just dumb, bro.
2. Banning aimware users in a big wave is nothing new and not indicative of a major change in the way VAC works. After all, it is still a user mode anti-cheat, and it will not be able to detect cheats that run in deeper protection.
Like, I've seen, you know, there are people with mental disabilities that have better characters than the people that are out here cheating and being toxic. I can say that.
Ring layers. VAC has a long way to go. And unless the Counter-Strike community is willing to accept a kernel-level anti-cheat, easy access and cheap cheats will continue to be the norm. However, even kernel-level anti-cheats are not perfect, and there are many ways cheaters are able to bypass even Ring 0 level anti-cheats. I will be continuing this series in a second video, where we will get super technical on this concept and go on a deep dive into the world of driver-level cheats and hardware cheat methods that are used to get around root-level anti-cheats like Riot's Vanguard for Valorant or Counter-Strike third-party matchmaking services like Faceit and ESEA. So make sure to subscribe. And remember, only poors cheat on alts. If you're going to cheat, you better do it on your main, and you better use easy frags. I love you all. Rem out.
Just recoil on her shots. I don't think she's cheating. Yeah, so I thought